All right. I think we're live. I'm going to wait for my
Hello.
hosts. Hi, Alex. How's it going?
It's going good. We're a bit of a chaos right now.
Let's do it.
A quick outage, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Hi, Harry.
Hello.
All right. Welcome to our 5th office hours. As you know, this is about building life with Lovable. For those that are new to Lovable makes it super easy for you to create full stack apps. It combines the ease of like this low code, no code tools with the flexibility of more professional development tools. And the way you build is by simply describing things in English. We typically use these sessions to build things live. We think it's risky, but it's also fun. And we try to keep them as interactive as possible. And this will be typically what we would do today, but we're having some issues with one of our providers. I don't know, Alex, if you can fill us in here and also like maybe do a round of intros at the same time.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Alex. I work here mostly on the core AI at Lovable. And we have a lot of luck right now because 10 minutes ago, one of our providers just had an outage, which means that you cannot create new projects on lovable.dev right now, which is very unfortunate. I think if you are already working on your project, it's fine, but it's not working for new projects. And we were hoping to create new projects, of course, during office hours. So we are going to try to do some Q&A instead, and hopefully it comes back quickly. So I might be a tiny bit distracted and look at other screens in the meantime.
Yeah. All right, Harry, but why don't you do a quick intro before going on with the rest of the agenda?
Sure. Hey guys, Harry Roper, enterprise consultant, mainly working in the US for big operations teams, helping them move faster with internal tools and custom SaaS software. Been a core user of Lovable since early access back in January last year. So I've been learning the tool for a very long time now, and it's actually the tool that I use to deliver all of our client solutions. And I'm excited to be here today because I was hoping to show you some stuff we can build, but at the very least, I hope we can answer some of your questions, any problems you're having with Lovable at the moment. And yeah, really use this session, be selfish and ask us as much as you can. We're here to help. Would love to know where everybody's calling from in the chat, if you can let us know.
Yeah,
I'm in Argentina, the guys are in Sweden.
Cool. I'm Christian. I'm a member of the product team here at Lovable, and we also have Vibor in the back office manning the chat. He's leading the community part of Lovable. Super. So before we start with what was going to be the building session, but now more of a Q&A, we are going to do some housekeeping. So a couple things we want to announce. I'll start by sharing that we have a new integrations page that I want to show you that basically shows all the integrations that we have added to our platform. As you know, we have the native ones, Supabase and GitHub, that have been part of our sort of stack for a while. And we're adding a lot of them every day, basically. And these other ones, the new ones are, you can think of it as like capabilities that we're adding better support for. Some of these capabilities will require you to have Supabase installed or integrated beforehand because you need edge functions to run them properly. An example of that will be OpenAI and Anthropic. You typically want to use an edge function to set this up. The same with Stripe. But some of them are more front-end libraries, like visualization libraries like Three.js or P5.js. So what we're doing, just to understand how this process works, we're basically adding the knowledge and making the knowledge available for our AI to simply build these things more reliably. And we're going to be doing a bunch of work here, and you're going to be seeing us post about the new ones we add, especially this month of December. We're doing a big push here. So please check them out, test them out, let us know if you have any feedback. But yeah, just wanted to highlight that. The other thing I want to talk about is we have basically also iterated a bit on our pricing. So we've added, after much requests, like a lot of you were asking for a plan between launch and scale, which it used to be set at starting at 200. And a lot of you have also asked for plans that higher than the initial scale plan that we had. where you maybe 1,000 messages is not enough, so you want it much more a much more generous messaging limited. So what we've added is we've made it possible for you to select a custom message limit within the scale plan to cover really anybody's need. I would be very surprised if you hit something higher than 50 times the monthly limit. So feel free to check this out. You can upgrade if you're one of the lower plans and want to get a more generous messaging limit. And we're going to be iterating more on our pricing, but for now, I think this will cover the needs of most of us. Back to you, Alex. I think you have a couple of things also to share.
Yeah. So one thing that we changed, I think it was last week as well, is that now you're not going to be getting a credit deducted when you send a message when you're trying to fix an error when you press the F button. You might as well press F for Lovable right now, by the way. Different kind of F. But yeah, if you ask the AI to fix an error, we don't think you should be deducted any credits for that because it incentivizes us to make the product work really well, and you don't have to feel like you're wasting your time and getting a bit more anxious, because we know it's not fun when things are getting stuck for you. So that's the first thing, and that's live. It's been live for a week or something like that. And for the second thing, I think I can do a demo, even if we're not really up right now. Let me share that. So I have built this tiny little app before, which is just a tiny ChatGPT-like experience. And there's one thing that's different now from a week ago, is that now when we create edge functions in Supabase, we can ask you for your API secrets or API keys right in the chat. So you don't have to go to Supabase, for example, to insert your OpenAI API key or any kind of environment variable that you're going to use in your edge functions. Lovable will just prompt you based on what you're doing for a given API key, and you can just enter it right there. Press save and just keep working. So that's another way to really stay in your flow and not have to switch tabs. And we really aim for making that an even deeper integration, so that you can do all the Supabase things within Lovable and just keep going and keep chatting, and not have to find links or jump too much around. And I think that was it for these secrets. I think we're going to use them if we are allowed to build projects later on. But if we can't, this is how it looks like, and you don't need to think about it. We just ask you when it's time.
Super. So we're getting questions already. So again, we were supposed to build now an app. That was the initial plan. That's what we do with these office hours. We keep them as sort of hands-on as possible. However, we're going to pivot. We're still going to do the office hours, and we're just going to focus on answering questions. We're lucky enough to have Harry with us here. He's a super experienced, lovable builder. So I say we just start, grabbing questions from the chat and kind of going in them and trying to provide an answer. So maybe a first one here is like, is there a team pricing? Yes, we do team pricing, but it's custom. And for now, you need to sort of send us an email at feedback@lovable.dev, and you'll talk to one of our team members, and we'll sort you out with that. So just reach out if you need something for bigger teams that is like expands over one. Cool. There's another question here from Brooklyn. How focused are you on integrations? Seems like the easier that gets, the more products we can build quickly. I don't know. What do you think, Alex? How focused are we on building more integrations?
Well, I think we are, given what we've been shipping the last 2 weeks in December. So if you follow us on Twitter, you see that we've been doing this advent of integrations, and we know that most of you want to build applications, for example, so that you can monetize them and integrate Stripe. So we've worked on making that better, and we're trying to follow the thread of all of these spontaneous things that most of you would like to use in your apps, and making it easier to implement things like anything AI related. So using AI models, using LLMs, using video models, using models from Hugging Face. We want this to be as easy as possible, so that you don't even need to know they exist. and we have quite a long list of candidates. I cannot share the ones that are coming in the next days because I actually don't even know them myself. But we are focusing on building the ones that have been the most requested by the community, and some of them might just be making sure that we work better on given for a certain package or library, very popular library, and others are a bit deeper, like integrating with Stripe, or yesterday we did 11 labs, making sure that we work with the latest version of the APIs, and understanding the flow to guide you, because we don't expect from users to know how to set these things up. And in the future, we want this to be even more seamless, maybe sometimes even faster. If you want to monetize your product, it should be like super quick and easy thing, because everybody wants to do it, and we're definitely not done with that. So yes, more integrations are coming. We don't want to live in a bubble. We want your products to be connected to the outside world and the best services. So we're going to keep working on that.
Cool. Alex, I have a question. So it seems like we have a project running already, or Harry has it in his editor before we went down. Should we take a risk?
Yeah. Yes, let's try. And if we fail, we all fall together.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's do this. So
I'm gonna jump in here.
Yes.
Seems like we're up again, everyone here.
Okay.
In the stream. Or I could create projects now. So
let's
go ahead.
Let's go.
Nice
I
job.
hope it's involved, but we are looking good right now.
Nice. All right. This is Nicholas, by the way, one of our core engineering members. Super. All right. So let's go. Harry, you want to share your screen and get started?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, guys. Interested to know what you're all struggling with Lovable at the moment. Put that in the chat. We can pick up those questions later. I think I need my screen share to be brought live on the stage again.
Yes.
But yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll pick them up and answer them. Let's go into a project. Okay, cool. So what are we building today in this session? Okay. If you haven't known already, there's a thing nowadays, it's a bit trendy to do, called a productized agency. You might have seen Design Joy, which is probably one of the most like controversial / sort of biggest agencies that's done this. One guy who sells a design subscription, and he makes about $1 million a year now, just him, apparently solo. Now, there's been a lot of controversy around this character, so I'm not going to get into the details, but Brett was one of the first people to do this model. So in today's project, we're going to try and build a landing page. We're then going to add our own subscriptions, so Stripe subscriptions, so people can subscribe to us. And then we're going to add a dashboard so that our subscribers can log in and start interacting with us, and we can perform the service for them. So I should share a couple of things, quite cool. As always, whenever we start a new project, we're in here, and all I've done for the first prompt is start with a blank project so that we have a blank page to kind of work off of and build from. So I'm going to do the first step here, which is connect a database. Did we have one created in the end, guys, or should I create one?
I can create one really quick.
Nice.
So, and just a question, Harry, while I do this. So just for me to understand, this portal we're building is, if you are a designer or consultant providing services, then it makes it much easier to have this place where your clients can log in and sort of basically requests tasks and change existing designs. Is that the thinking?
That's it. And like having one place to keep everything organized. How many of you have got clients where like you've had feedback via email, a Slack channel, a Google Doc, and a text message over WhatsApp? It can get like really super confusing. The idea of having workspaces that your clients can log into is that, everything's in one place, everything's organized. We're using databases, so all of that data is backed up as well, and we can access it later down the road. The main benefit of running a productized agency is that you don't really need to have a meeting or a proposal or anything like that. If you have a good portfolio and they like what they see, they can go on the website. And Brett says, it should be as easy as buying a t-shirt. I mean, if we look at Brett's example here, it is as easy as buying a t-shirt. We open the Stripe, you pay your subscription, the work gets started. So hopefully it removes a lot of that middleware as well.
Makes sense. And why is it called productized agency? Like, how does it different from like traditional agencies?
I guess there's no proposal, there's no meeting. It's just that they buy your product, so your subscription to the design services, and you get to work. There's no like weird scoping call, or you need to do some sort of like weird ass like fancy proposal. It's essentially removing all of that, and they just purchase. If you'd like to learn more about the business model, I have a great video on YouTube called I Stole the Design Joy Model. Go check it out, Harry Roper on YouTube, and I'll explain a little bit more of the business model if you're interested in it. And my own results. Okay, now that we're in here, Chris is making our Superbase project. So can I connect to that now, Chris? Or
Let's see if you find it. It's called Design Joy Clone.
okay, it's somewhere here then. Okay. There we are. Cool. And basically what we're doing here is we're just using the Lovable integration with Superbase. If you have a Superbase account and a project made, you can easily select it from the list and bring all that out. There's also some useful links here if you ever want to go to the dashboard of that project, user management and SQL editor. Okay, let's just wait for this to set up.
Yeah, so in the start it can, okay, so it's happening now. But when you create the project in Superbase, you sometimes have to wait a few minutes for it to be actually ready for us, but it looks like it's ready now.
Perfect. So one of the things that I'll always start with, even if it seems like the most backwards way to do it, is I'll ask it to add Superbase auth. And it's just good to have this as a base to work off of. You'll find with a lot of Lovable projects, if you work on something and you get to the 500 edit point, and then you add auth at the last minute, you're going to have a lot of headaches. And auth is just log in and sign up, giving users the ability to sign up to your app. So a good first step. Lovable's going to write all the SQL commands for us. I'm going to hit apply now.
And by the way, now we like I see that when you ask to add auth, Lovable chose to create a table for user profiles, which is a good practice if you're going to build something a bit bigger where you're going to store user data like okay, username, avatar, you're exactly this stuff, but also anything if you think people will have profile pages and details, but you don't necessarily need it. If you just want to protect your web page with some kind of a login and you don't really care about user information, then you could tell Lovable here, hey, no, I just need login. You don't have to create database tables for this. So it's a bit up to you. And right now, I think it sometimes will be a bit too eager to create those. So if you don't need to store any user data, you can say no, I just need login. You don't need to add this.
Yeah, but I guess typically all apps have a username. You want to have an avatar, so it's good to have. But if you know what you're doing and you know you won't have to be, you're not looking to store anything else, then you can prompt it and be a bit more strict. I usually write something like just give me login or something like that, and that normally does the job.
So just like on top of that, in terms of authentication settings, before I like blitz through here, I just opened up Superbase. I've come to the authentication tab. I've come to providers. You can see all the options that Superbase offers for our app to be logged into. So if you want to set up Apple login, if you want to set up GitHub login, you can do that. In this case, I'm just going to turn this confirm email step off so that I can test the app. And anybody that I pass it to, they can test the app as well, because they won't need to confirm their email for this development. Okay, well, what does that look like? Well, it just means I can come in here, I can put my email in, sign in, and we're in. So that's cool. I'm now inside like what would be a dashboard. So let's set some other things up. We're going to go back to our index page. I'm going to be very broad with my prompt here, but I'm going to say on the index page, create a landing page for our productized, we'll do a development agency, considering Lovable is coding for us. Productized development agency, give me a basic landing page with a pricing table that I can integrate Stripe with. And then I'm just going to add some extra context. Sometimes it might go and add the integration for you. I just want it to do it in steps here. So I'm going to make sure that it just makes the landing page here and it doesn't try and do too many things at once. Just by adding, don't do the integration at the end. And yep, coding away.
Cool. There was somebody asking here, can you prompt the uncheck confirm email setting? Unfortunately, you can't. We tried obviously to have this just part of the sort of migrations that we run to be able to just automate that part. But unfortunately, today it's still a setting that the user needs to go into the Supabase dashboard and do manually. Maybe this changes in the future. But,
it's a good call out, because we could try to see if there's a way and ask people at Supabase, and I'm gonna do it right now.
Shout out.
Nice job. So here I'm just like checking our routes now. So as you can see, like I'm stuck on the login page, even though I told it to create a landing page and put it on the index page. In this case, it's usually because the user is being sent to the wrong the wrong direction. So here I'm just trying to see if we can get around that. There we are. Cool. So put together a really simple landing page for my my development agency. I think it's very important that everybody knows why they should choose us. We have a CTA at the top, and then it's even part of logout here. So if I was to go back to that index page, it's got an infinite logout. We'll fix that in a bit. Cool. Now that we have a landing page, I want to make sure that people can sign up and do pricing. So in this case, we're going to add Stripe to these plans. Let's add Stripe just to the professional plan for this use case.
Super. Did you prompt it with these prices, Harry, or is this just something it's
just something random it's come up with? Yeah.
Pretty expensive plans.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
Top-notch service. Guess it's worth.
With Lovable. So, okay.
Nice. So now you see the new feature we added last week, where we can ask users for API keys right in the chat and set them at Supabase, in the Supabase backend from the chat without having to change tabs, which is pretty cool. So we can ask things like, OpenAI API key or Stripe API key, really anything like that, and then you can go verify that it was set on the Edge function.
So I'm going to go into Stripe now. I have this, my dashboard here. I have a secret key. So I'm just going to stop sharing so none of you control me. I know what you're all like. Hey? And let's just copy the key over as Lovable as asked for.
Yeah, we've never had incidents sharing credentials in videos before, right?
Yeah, never. Nice. And I think there's typically two things you'll have to provide. Harry, I believe we didn't go through the sort of details of instructions that Lovable presented you in the chat, but I think it's the API key is one of them, and the second thing is going to be some sort of reference to the product, which I assume you've already created, Harry, on Stripe, or you plan to create.
I'll do that now, and I'll show the guys how that all works. So here we are. API key is in. I'm going to hit save. It's been saved successfully.
Nice. And I think once that's happened, you can. So I don't know what Lovable told you before, but you can tell it to resume, or I don't know what it said it was going to do.
I think he's expecting the other variable in the chat, the price ID. Yeah. And I think you'll have to create the product. And
let's go do that quickly whilst we're waiting. So I've got my temp Stripe here. What we'll do is we'll go to product catalog. You can go to create new product in Stripe. Let's call it our dev subscription, because we're a dev company. You guys can do what you want here, add your images, add your description. For me, I'm just going to do a small subscription. Let's get that US dollar. Okay. Let's add that product. Here we are, $10 subscription. We have the product ID, and then the price ID is here. Here we are.
So that's something maybe we can point out here, is that if you are not used to Stripe, don't confuse the product IDs with price IDs. Sometimes I think it's counterintuitive because you're going to focus on the product, or at least that's what I would do. But the thing that you are referring to from your code is the price ID. At least that's my understanding.
Yes.
Because there can be different prices for the same product, I suppose, different tiers of things like that. So don't input the wrong one.
And it's really easy to see that. You'll see I have the product here, and then it's created this like sub menu item called pricing. You can just click that and go in, and then it will have the price ID up here. So let's take this. Add your stroke key to super base H functions. We've done that. Okay, we added the stroke key.
I think it's probably going to ask you the price ID now in the next thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Any other questions? That's what we're waiting for these to run through.
Yeah. So I think, I guess one of the questions I have, you created one subscription, right, Harry? And we have 3 showing in the website here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
One of the things that you can do is create different prices for this development subscription. So you can see here we can add the plus and then just add another recurring charge. So maybe like this would be our next tier, the premium. We can create that, and then we can just say, hey, use this price ID for the other plan. So you can quickly create those 3 different plans you want. USD, let's do this at 10K because I'm really greedy. Create the price, and there we go. So again, you would just take these 3 price IDs and just put them into Lovable and say, hey, can you use this for this plan, use this one for this plan, etc. Okay. Let's see what happens when we load up this preview. So we're going to go in, I'm going to hit subscribe now. Go to initiate checkout. No.
And so in chat, I had Niklas who corrected me and said that different prices for same product are mostly for having different periods. And I trust Niklas because he's the Stripe expert at Lovable. So I stand corrected.
Same here. Nice. Let's see why this isn't responding.
Cool. So now you're going full debug mode, Harry.
Yes. Just try and figure out why.
I think I have a theory, Harry. I think, does it understand that button needs to, I don't think you're doing a request, maybe it doesn't understand that should trigger the sort of checkout. Because there's 3 plans. I think that would be the first thing I guess I would prompt for if I was like clicking on the subscribe to now and not seeing any reaction. And this is the reality, right? This is when building becomes real, when things don't go necessarily all the time. So I think it's also nice that we encounter this stuff and sort of fix it live.
Yeah, and I can add to that I mean we just released this integration, and we probably should make it a bit better, because sometimes if you don't really go in the right direction, it will not ask you for the price ID or something like that, which it probably should from the start. So we're gonna definitely improve it so you don't have to know as much as we need to know right now.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, let's take some questions in the meantime. Can Lovable integrate with a human dev team and work together through Git? Yes. All the code that Lovable writes is in GitHub. You can take ownership and transfer the repo to your org anytime. And you can keep pushing code from the outside world, so you can have your team in GitHub working on the code and still get the updates in Lovable and do some kind of collaboration like that. So that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Can Lovable read console logs? Yes, it can, and I think it's very powerful. And if you have issues, so we can talk about errors and how to get unstuck, which is a very common theme here. And one of the strategies when you get stuck is to essentially try to help the AI to debug your project. And by default, it's gonna try, I think, to do some debugging with logs, but you can instruct it to use console logs more if you see that it's just not getting it. It doesn't see any problems, and that will often help quite a lot. And it will trigger the AI to see more of the process and see where it stopped. If you have a sequence of events, especially, or network requests to third-party APIs, that's going to help quite a bit. Can we convert Figma designs with Shadcn? So we don't have any native integrations with Figma. I have personally made a bunch of experiments around this, and it's very, very possible to import things from Figma and use screenshots from Figma as well. Right now, I think what we recommend is you to take to export images from Figma and use them as prompts, essentially, in Lovable, and that works fairly well. And we may do this in the future, go a little bit deeper. We don't know, but it's definitely technically possible. And I know some of users in the community are building plugins for Figma to export to Lovable, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a question, Harry, or maybe it's worth checking the Edge function logs once you log in.
Yeah. So the error that I found is that there's no email found.
Okay.
Basically, we need our users to be logged in first.
Yeah. So I guess I would have
So we're going the other way around. We're going to when people click that subscribe, we're going to push them to create an account. Then once they're inside their account in the dashboard, we'll give them the option to subscribe.
Cool.
And go over that, I think. Just got a few routing issues and checking that I'm logged in and stuff. So we're just going to fix that to make sure I can access the dashboard. And see if we can get around that.
Nice. Sometimes you have to debug things a little bit, but when that happens, it's very important, I think, to be a bit creative on behalf of the AI, because the AI can struggle to be creative when things are not working. It's very possible that it just tries to do the same thing a bit over and over. And we definitely try quite a bit to make it behave differently. So we do lots of things in the background. But when it's not going anywhere, then I can definitely recommend you to try to change your prompting strategy and not write something like "it doesn't work," because that's not really helping. And if you would be interacting with an actual person, I don't think you would say that 5 times in a row it doesn't work, right? You would try to elaborate a little bit, to communicate about what's not working, trying different strategies, trying to make things move in some direction, essentially. And the other thing, so I don't know, Harry, if you've done it in this project, but we did it maybe a few office hours ago, is to sometimes just revert, which means just going back in the past to a previous state of your app, which sometimes is just the right way. If you see that things went the wrong direction, it can be faster to just go back and redo it than try to salvage something that is going to take 5 minutes or less to get back to. And it's something you learn. It's kind of a skill, like a programming skill, I would say, to know when to revert or just to try to fix it. But it's something that I think maybe too many users are not aware of, and maybe it's a UX issue in the product. But it's really something to remember. You can just go back and restart.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a question here on working with Lovable alongside editing code. So we do have a GitHub integration, which basically creates a repo with all the source code that is yours. It's in your own organization in GitHub. And that means that you can edit the code directly if you want by cloning that repository using your favorite ID, or you can just edit the code directly in GitHub. They have an easy interface for that as well. And that applies to yourself if you are a developer, or it's also a way to bring on developers that might not use Lovable directly, but simply commit code through their sort of preferred method or ID. So it's the source code is yours. That's one of the great things with sort of these code gen low-code, no-code tools versus the traditional ones, and you have full flexibility and full portability.
Right. We have another question. Is there a way I can see the generated code in browser? Do I have to go to GitHub? So right now we do not have a code editor within the product, and I know many of you want it. I want it as well. Just saying. But it's not possible at the moment. So you can only see the diffs that the AI writes, so what's changed, but you cannot browse the code. It's definitely on our radar.
Yeah. Harry, I think we've done some progress, right? We were discussing.
Yes. Yeah. So now we have users, they can log in and they can go to their dashboard. I'm just adding a sidebar, which is like a classic UI component that Lovable really understands and uses. So I'm just adding now some pages to this dashboard, just, letting it grow out a little bit. We're being broad of our prompts, and we're not, notice here how with the prompting, I'm just asking it to create like a sidebar and the stuff. I'm not saying create a sidebar, then create another page, then create, like a huge prompt that could really confuse it. Instead, just try and be specific. In this case, just adding a nice little dashboard with our settings, our plan, etc. We need to persist our auth here. So sometimes you might find that the app logs you in and out. If you want to get over that, you can just ask it to persist the auth session in this case. It's nice. Okay.
Cool. There's a question here on whether Lovable is working with Claude or OpenAI. Alex, maybe you can answer this one.
The answer is yes. Yeah, we're using all the models, the good models, all the good models.
Cool. So here we are in our pages. For some reason, this auth is really not persisting very well. I have no idea why, but we'll log in anyway. Cool. Here we are. So let's do this upgrade to Pro. I'm going to now change that to be our professional plan. So in the dashboard, give context as to where it is. With our professional plan, make sure upgrade to Pro takes us to Stripe and creates a checkout.
All right, I can read this other question in the meantime. Can we make our custom API and ask Lovable to integrate everything in front end after providing API endpoints? Yes, so you don't have to use Supabase if you don't want to. You can also use some parts of it, and you can use your own APIs. I think lots of users do that with internal tooling, where they have internal APIs from their companies, and only build the front end with Lovable. And if you're doing that, what I can recommend is to use the custom knowledge in your project, which is available in the settings, where you can paste documentation about your API, your endpoints. You could use OpenAPI specifications in there if they are not too large. So I know it's something that some users want as well. If you have bigger APIs with this, so that's a specific format for defining APIs. And right now it will kind of work, but it's not supported very, very well. And that's also something that's on our radar. But you can definitely integrate with your own APIs if you provide documentation, and custom knowledge is the right place for that, I think.
I've just done a nice little prompt that I think is worth sharing. Sometimes if you've got functionality implemented in another part of the app, and Lovable might miss it because you're working with a very big app, you can see here it was going down another path saying like, hey, we can build this functionality out. This is what I need. So I just told it, we've already got this on the homepage, dude. So just use the stuff there, and just update. So now I'm hoping, I'm going to refresh the page. It should create this checkout for us. Let's see. But cool. Nice. Okay. Let's see.
So are you gonna pay yourself now, Harry?
I am going to pay for you guys. For you guys. Let's get the code off my phone.
Well, Harry gets that. I think the thing you mentioned with being aware of how your app is built under the hood, right? Like reusing components. That is pretty hard unless you maybe are have a background as a software developer and understand how these things work under the hood. And I think that's one of the opportunities of like if we showed the code, it was easier to visualize the file structure. Then it opens up to maybe getting a better mental model on what's happening under the hood, right? Right now we only have the preview. If you want to see what's the sort of under, you need to go to GitHub. Maybe making it more accessible will make it easier for you to understand like exactly how things are being built. I think it's a crutch. I think long term we shouldn't have to rely on code. You shouldn't have to understand what's going on, but it's something that we're thinking about as these models become better and more proficient.
Yeah,
and it's always useful. You can just ask the app as well, like, hey, can you put output to a txt file? Let me accept this. Can you output to a txt file? Like, what in my app are we using right now? Like, what's the structure? And that can usually give you a good idea of the map as well if you do get stuck.
cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and approve.
And in the meantime, we have this other question: if we have a plan for global custom knowledge for knowledge we use on our projects, it's also something we're looking at, some kind of hierarchy of knowledge where you could have. So let's imagine in the future we have organizations and teams and users and projects. It would make sense to have some reusability there, and we are looking at that. But I can't say if it's coming soon or not. But it's also one of these things that we get a lot of requests for, obviously.
Yeah. So there's another question here. This one here. It would be helpful to have templates where authentication and Stripe are ready to be used. We're thinking a lot about this. We know that our current template offering is quite limited. It's mostly landing pages that are more like static in nature. We're thinking a lot about going a step further and actually giving you templates that have real functionality in place for you to leapfrog and not have to do all this initial configuration and simply go to like adding whatever is needed to like adding the sort of core proposition of your app and not having to think about all the pipeline, the sort of underlying pipeline of payments and authentication. So I think we'll keep you guys updated, but I think there's stuff on that track.
Yeah. And one thing I can add, I see somewhere in chat as well that we can use the test mode in Stripe, and yes, of course, we could have done that. So for those who don't know, the test mode is what it says on the box. It's without real money mode, and it means you can use a fake credit card number just to verify that you can pay for things. And we obviously could have used that, but we thought it would be kind of fun to go with a real product, so we can pay for it. See if there are anyone willing to pay for Harry's product right now.
Yeah, if you want preview empty page explorer.lovable.app, go give me $10. I'll give you a kiss. I don't know. I'll give you something. Who knows what you get. Basically, there's a bug with the app at the moment where it keeps logging me out, right? And we could spend some time like trying to debug this, but I'm kind of just ignoring it, which is why I'm going through this loop of logging in and logging out. But where we're at the moment is we've just created the Stripe subscription and I've just paid. Now what I want to do is be able to see people's subscriptions. So we're creating, by the looks of it, an SQL table to track this. Users can view own subscriptions, service role can manage subscriptions. Is it better to direct here to say use Stripe, guys? Probably, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we don't need all this stuff.
I haven't done too much building with Stripe, but I know that Stripe provides a way for you to check on a customer status based on the email. So maybe that's a smarter method. Because I feel like
I think so.
Yeah.
One of the things I've experimented with, if you guys want to automate this even further, is you can add webhooks in Stripe that will send it directly to your Postgres DB. In this case, though, because when we set up the Stripe integration, it passes the logged in user's email to Stripe. We can just use the email they're logged in with to check their subscription. So let's see if that works. It created a backend function to check the subscription for me. And now it's going to update the dashboard as well. Nice. It's going to deploy the edge function, I think. So that might take a second.
Yeah, so I think we saw an error here that so sometimes when you deploy edge functions on Supabase, there can be a period where they are switching basically to the new version. And sometimes your app might do some calls in the meantime and might show you an error where it might say that it failed to call the edge function, and that might not be a real error, and it might just be due to the fact that the code has been updated in your browser in what you see, but the edge function isn't fully ready yet, or the other way around. So it's good to maybe not immediately ask the AI to fix. So I know it's asking quite a lot from our users. You shouldn't have to think about that, but it is how it is right now. So sometimes I think I'm just gonna wait if there is this first initial error and see if things are working. And if not, I'll try to fix this specific error. But that's something that can happen because there is your front end, which is what you see in your browser, and the back end in Supabase. And they can be sometimes a little bit out of sync while we are deploying things.
Cool.
So quite cool. This now pulls our plan, and it also disables the subscription button if we're already subscribed. So that worked. Before we add some like paid subscriber features to this sidebar menu, I just want to try and fix this like logout bug that keeps refreshing my session. So let's see if we can fix that in a prompt or two.
Yeah, and I would suggest, like, so here we're doing this live, but if you're working on your own project, I think it's always a good thing to spend time in the start making sure these things work very well, like authentication, because they're much easier to fix when the project is still very small. And I would say this is a good practice on if you write code yourself as well, because if you push them away, it's going to be potentially harder to propagate the fix if there is a fix for it everywhere in the app when there's lots of code to change. So in our case here, we try to speedrun it a little bit. But if you were to work on your own personal project, I would recommend really spending some time in the start setting these foundations, even if it's not as exciting as building new features and getting Lovable to build this super cool looking front ends and adding confettis and all this sort of cool things that users do. But it's better for the long term. So I would recommend spending time on this.
I think there was a question we've been getting a lot as well, is like, if you have existing data, imagine you have a spreadsheet, how do you manage that? How do you make that something you can use in an application? I think this is maybe not something everyone knows, but there is an import data functionality in Supabase. So if you create an empty Supabase, you can very easily import data by uploading a CSV file. And that's super, super useful, especially because I know that a lot of processes in companies, or maybe it's even personal projects, are driven and managed through an Excel or a Google spreadsheet. So if you want to create an application that uses this and sort of, to a certain extent, productize this, then using this upload functionality in Supabase to simply get that data inside a database table is a pretty good hack.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this next question I see here in chat. Is there any prompting advice for better exception bubbling up? I find it often creates try-catch clauses that obscure bugs. Okay, so for the non-technical users, so I think this means that sometimes when there are errors, the AI might try to essentially hide them so that they don't surface to the user in the app, instead of actually fixing the underlying bug. And it's something we're aware of and we try to fight against. But it still can happen sometimes. And so I think the strategies there can be to add something to your custom knowledge. I know some users do that, to insist on that. And otherwise, when you report errors, to try to say, yeah, I want it fixed, I don't want it to be hidden. Obviously, it would be better if you didn't have to say that, but it's something that can happen and we are aware of that.
Nice.
Cool. So are you adding some cool things now, Harry, to the dashboard?
Yes, trying to. Hitting a bug at the moment where I'm being logged out of Superbase every time I try to visit the page. So we're gonna have to tell Lovable that and see if it can help us fix it. And I want to call out a prompt as well. Whenever I click on a menu item, I am logged out from the session. So a prompt to call out was this one for the sidebar. Basically just saying to it, like, add it as a navigation option. There's sometimes Lovable may forget that and you have to do another prompt, which might burn your credits. And then just describing using a list what you want that page to do in a very basic like feature sort of layout. I don't think it's done too bad a job. I just got to try and be able to navigate there now. There we go. Nice. And let's put this in a nice Kanban board. I'll add Chris's favorite thing, which he's always shown me in videos previously, but add drag and drop to the task request.
Nice. And I think the fact that like persistence, right? Like being persistent, changing the way you're prompting the AI to overcome these bugs and issues it can get you like pretty far. And I think that the creative part is pretty important. We announced earlier that we have this. We now like don't charge for the Ask AI to Fix button. That might be tempting for you to just simply press that button mindlessly and sort of just like hope for the best. Typically, it will be probably not the best strategy. You will eventually really benefit from guiding the AI based on your gut feeling on maybe trying a different approach, rethinking something, re-implementing something, rather than just clicking on that button mindlessly.
Yep. Yeah. One of the things I did to kind of speaks to what Chris is saying there is asking it to refactor a feature. So can you remake what you've done? And hopefully by doing that and pulling it apart, it puts it together again in a clean way. Let's add real time to task request. This dashboard is coming together though. What else do people want to see in this dashboard? What ideas does everybody have? Put them in the chat. Maybe we can grab some.
Yeah, let's look. In the meantime, I'm gonna read some questions. All right, so there was one about adding a prompt improvement feature. Interesting. Some of us would think it's a good idea. It's something we're that's on the radar as well. There's definitely a learning curve to prompting, and I would say, I guess the general rule here is to over communicate rather than being very concise, and that applies to communication with other humans as well. Trying to be very clear, have a clear syntax. So sometimes really, using spacing, maybe headings, maybe numbered lists or anything like that. Try to be super, super clear because most of our prompts, I think, are often very ambiguous. And we sometimes pray for the AI to choose, I think, something that we have not really thought through. But when things are falling, I think if you basically can make a great bug report to your AI to say, hey, this is the state now, this is what I did, it's not working, we've tried to do this before and it didn't work. Try to give it everything you have to do the best possible job.
Yeah, there's a question here on, can you add chatbot for users to interface with your support? We're thinking about this. Currently we're a small team, so we really, really want the community to be really helping each other with support issues and any bugs and sort of blockers you might reach. So Discord is right now the main place for you to sort of get support. And I mean, myself and a lot of the other team members are in Discord often trying to answer. We might not always get back to you as fast as you hope for, but we try to always get back to you eventually, and we will be becoming better at this. And we might do something more in product, but for now we're heavily relying on Discord, and we really like the community aspect of it.
Yeah, and lots of power users there with very, very good prompting tips.
Yes. Yeah, we're there to help. We're there to help. Cool. I can see that this is kind of coming together now. I don't know why I'm being logged out, but let's just like take a break for a sec and talk about what we've done with 25 prompts. It's not a lot really, but we've added our own landing page. With the ability to create an account and log in with Supabase. Once there, you can sign up to a plan with Stripe, and then you can see them we're fetching that subscription. It's really easy to do. One of the cool things once you have Stripe subscriptions is you can start showing like individual parts of your app only if they have like a plan, right? So I could say something like add a secret page for the sidebar menu that's only accessible if they are subscribed. It's a direct booking experience to hop on a call with the team and get questions answered. Slide that in. See what everybody's saying in chat as well.
It's a good question, Harry, actually. People are asking for what's the simplest way to deploy something created in Lovable. And maybe deploy is something, but it's also like you might want to have a custom domains instead of having, the name of the randomly generated name that we give you at lovable.app. You might want to you might have purchased a domain and you might want to just like use that instead. How do people do that? What's the best way?
Sure. Really good question. First of all, that prompt we just ran, if you look, added a really nice book a call page. They can come here and schedule their call. Checking based on our subscription. Let's do deployment. So I actually had an example ready for this, funnily enough. But here is Imaginary Space, my consultancy agency. We've got a project in Lovable, and I've made some updates to the website. Okay, well, how do I deploy the changes to this website? Netlify is probably one of the best providers for this because we have everything backed up on GitHub. So just prerequisites for deploying. Connect your project to GitHub. Ensure that it's with your GitHub account that you're going to log into. You can log into Netlify. You can see I have a bunch of sites here. What you then do is go to add new site, import from existing one. Let's pick GitHub in this case. So we've authorized. And then I can pick the repo. So that one that I just saw with the name. We can go to here and just click deploy. And then I'll just hit deploy down here and that's gonna push the whole site. I won't do it because I already have a version of my own, but let me show you what that looks like once we redeploy. So here's the website I have. Here's the publish deploy message. I'm going to go to my GitHub and go to my repo. I've been doing the work on another branch, so I'll go here. We'll pull this in. Awesome. Cool. Let's confirm the merge so those changes get added. Nice. That's a process that you can do to get your app updated. If I now go to Netlify, you'll see that it's going to automatically grab those changes I pushed to GitHub. Pretty cool. I don't have to do anything. It's then going to deploy it. And, fingers crossed there's no bugs, but I imagine there won't be, so we should be good to go. But you can see how it's really easy, right, guys? Like you just add your GitHub repo that Lovable makes for you here. Just deploy a new project with Netlify, and then it will upload it and store it. And then once you are deployed and you have your app up and it's running and you want to connect to your domain, you can just come down to domain management. And you'll see here that there's some domains. I've already added mine, so it's been added here. All you've got to do is add a domain alias, put your domain in, and then it's going to give you some instructions on how to point that to the app. So if I go back to my deploys, this is going through the works. I have some deploys building apparently. Nice. So we'll wait for that to push through and then go from there. I'm going to go back to our app for now. Hopefully that answers how to deploy though on Netlify.
Super. And we will be releasing a video with a more detailed tutorial on this because this was a bit too fast to follow. Okay, there's a question here from Kunal. Is there any way for it to be given an open API JSON or link, and it creates front end for all the endpoints following the documentation? So yes, there's different ways you could do this. You could provide the JSON and or the documentation as part of the initial prompt. And the AI will take this into account while building a front end. You can also add it to custom knowledge after the initial prompt and make sure the changes and are taken into account as guidelines. So I think those are the two suggestions I would give you. Probably custom knowledge is a better fit for this. But yeah, those will be the two ways to do this. And this applies to anything. Like if you're integrating with a third-party API or you have a local endpoint, you're really going to benefit from giving it as much information as possible. Like where is this hosted? What are the endpoints available? What's the expected request format and also the response format? And those are going to be critical for this to actually work and for Lovable to be able to sort of parse the information and build a front end that connects to it properly.
So I'm just adding some functionality now to this task page so that people can actually add requests. So it's integrated with the table. We're going to do a new request once this is done. Nice, new request.
Okay. I have a question now. So how many edits did you say this was? It was around
27.
27 edits. In your experience building apps, like what's the number like of edits that it takes for you to build a full stack application? And I know it probably varies. What's your gut feeling around how those tie into like the level of complexity?
200 to 500, I think, is a standard mark right now. And we've like our largest projects are up to 1,000 right now. We're really pushing the limits Lovable, I think, in those projects. But definitely, like you can easily get to a production ready app within 30 prompts nowadays. If you watch the office hours that we did before this one, we built a Canny clone. And in that project, we built the entire feedback platform in what, 30 prompts, 35 prompts, right, Chris? It was crazy. And you can see here through 27 prompts how quickly we've got subscription management, the ability for users to add their own tasks. This is using real time, so it adds the tasks pretty straightforward for us. We have settings, subscription data details, and then our special booker call button page as well. So we have like pretty much a fully functioning client workspace in terms of like usability right now. I think it's just amazing how quickly you can go from idea to prompt, really. Like when we started out, we didn't even know if we'd be doing this demo today, and now we have an app.
Yeah, and it's making real money, right? It's already made you $10, I think.
Yes, exactly. I'm a rich man. I'm a really rich man. So yeah, like would love to know from people in the chat if there's anything you'd like me to build or add to it. That we could add AI features. Tell me what else could we add that you want to see? Would there be anything interesting? Let's see. Mohammed, it's actually connected to Stripe at the moment. So if I go to here and log in, we can create a test account. You're all welcome to create test accounts and give me your money as well if you want to. But here we are. So we have the plan. We can click upgrade to Pro. That's going to open Stripe. We can make the payment. and then it's going to pull our subscription details once we've paid. You can see in my version, because I've already paid, it's pulling my subscription plan. Let's go to sign here. Cool.
Cool. All right, we're a bit over time already, Harry. So.
Oh, nice. Nice. I think we could possibly do this one quickly, Chris. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna add this AI one quickly. Okay, guys. So basically, somebody's just asked, can we add AI? So I'm gonna add an AI chat. It's probably like the most simple example for this. Add an AI chat to the sidebar. Then add a page that this directs to with a simple chat interface utilizing OpenAI endpoint. We go through all this. Yeah. Cool. Let me get a key.
Yeah, there's another question here that is about like how you make UI more front-end focused improvements. Maybe this is an office hours in itself that we could focus on in the future. I know, Harry, you've been pushing the limits of how you can make websites feel super snappy and beautiful. You showed actually an example before. Your new agency site is looking pretty snappy and it's built with Lovable. So maybe we can do an upcoming one of these, just focusing on that. I think that would be super.
Yep. I pushed the development link, so I've got a testing version live on the URL if you guys want to check it out. But this was fully built in Lovable. There's still bugs, so don't hate on me if you find one. I'm gonna just get my key, and then we should be good to go. Maybe actually the one you sent me, Alex, might still work.
Yeah, it's on the house. Do it.
Where are you?
Nicholas is saying that you can use PayPal on Stripe if you want. So somebody was asking if we can use PayPal, and you can do it through Stripe. You can do almost anything through Stripe. Somebody else asked about crypto, and I wonder if Stripe supports that. I think they kind of do, but I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. I think I'm back. If somebody can bring the screen share live, we should be good to go. So here again, just using the API key management the Lovable has. We actually have a chat page. Let's see if this works. We did it in one prompt, so I'm going to be really happy if it did it. Yes, nice. So I think that speaks to the power of it, really, guys. Like, if you look at this, we just added a chatbot that speaks to the OpenAI endpoint in one prompt. Pretty cool. I think that's it, guys. I would say for today in building.
Super. No, but this is incredible. I mean, again, not like let's not understate, right? It's an app that has authentication. You can go in as an authenticated user. You can subscribe. You can have specific sections for subscribers only, and you can have a AI-backed chat, which I'm not sure exactly what you would do there, Harry. Maybe you would clone yourself and have him
Well,
questions, but yeah, it could be. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
We can do stuff like this, right? Like one of the projects that we're working with on clients at the moment is using chat to help people sort of interact with their data. So you can imagine how we could have used that chat to be like, hey, I want to request to the team to do some stuff, and we can have a chatbot kind of handle that for us. as like a concierge service. This has gone down, so I'm going to quickly segue off. But yeah, I guess like worth mentioning, if I can give you some more training, if you'd like a bit more of a one-on-one session, happy to do so. I've got a lot of experience over the last year using Lovable that I can share. Vibor has very kindly put my link on the chat if you want to check that out. And yeah, happy to teach more about Lovable. Great, really cool, powerful tool.
Super. All right, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be doing more and more of these. Try to keep up on the sort of weekly schedule on Thursdays at 6. That's going to be the default. So we'll keep you guys informed through our mailing list and also Twitter and other social media accounts for you to be able to sign up for these. But yeah, a lot of fun. We're going to be keeping it real and building live, even when things go down. And yeah, expect more of these.
Yeah. Warm handshakes in chat for all the Team Lovable is what I want to say. Warm handshakes in chat for Team Lovable. Let's go.
All right. See you next
Thanks,
time.
everyone. See you next time.
Cheers, guys. Bye.